Warren Buffett is pleading with the White House to raise his taxes. The billionaire insists anyone making more than $1 million a year should be taxed at a higher rate. Here he is last night on PBS's Charlie Rose show.
Oh, I decided to look around and see if any of my friends were being affected by share and sacrifice, and they, like me, are enjoying these extremely low tax rates, and in the very high percentage of the cases, the very rich are paying less in the way of taxes than the people to clean their offices.
All right, Buffett isn't alone. He has supporters like my next guest, Garrett Gruener, co-founder and director of Alta Partners, a venture capital firm, and founder of Ask.com. He joins us live from San Francisco. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. So tell me, I'm just curious, what's your tax rate and why do you want it higher?
Well, the marginal tax rate I pay is something less than 35%, probably well less actually than 35%. Which is the current top rate, and which is much lower than it was in the Clinton administration and much, much lower than it was in the Kennedy and Eisenhower administrations.
And the tax code favors people like you, and you say that that's simply not fair. We could raise some significant money by making very rich people pay a bigger share.
That's right. One of the extraordinary things that Warren Buffett didn't say in his op-ed yesterday, which I think is very important, is that the upper 1% got 23.5% of all the income in 2007. And the last time that happened was 1928. And I think that what happened next, the financial collapse in both cases, is a direct result of the fact that things have just gotten out of whack.
But doesn't the top 1% pay, more than 20% of all of the income taxes? I mean, that's one of the things that you hear from Republicans, you hear from conservatives, and frankly, other rich people who say, don't tax me more. Don't tax me more. I mean, it is the top that is sending so much money into the American Treasury.
Well, that's true. That's what their argument is. And their argument goes on to say that economic growth is a function of the investment these people can make. And if you increase their taxes, that there will be less available for investment. And the problem is it just isn't true. As I say, back in the 50s, the marginal tax rate was 90%. In the 60s, it was 70%. And our growth rate was much higher than it is today. Indeed, during the Clinton era, the marginal tax rate was 39%, and our growth rate was significantly higher than the essentially zero growth we had during the 2000s. So, the basic thesis just turns out not to be correct. And I have to say that, what I do for a living is venture capital. I make investments in small technology companies, and I try to help them grow. And I have never once, and I literally mean this, not once, ever made an investment decision based upon the marginal tax rate. It just isn't an important element of the investment decision.
So let's talk about if we added a 50% tax rate on income over $1 million. This is basically what Buffett has proposed. It would bring in $340 billion over 10 years. $340 billion over 10 years, we're running a deficit that's more than, $1.5 trillion a year right now. You just can't fix it by raising taxes on the top 1% alone. And I think that's what some people say. They say, look, you need a lot more than just that. Do you agree? I mean, you need taxes going up for everyone, or you need very big spending cuts?
Well, I think that, there's going to be a number of elements to the solution. We have to increase revenues. We do have to reduce spending, certainly over the long haul. And ultimately, we've got to make this budget balance. Vice President Cheney was wrong when he said deficits don't matter. They do matter. So really solving this deficit problem is essential. However, what we have done is over and over again reduce the taxes for those who are doing the best in this economy.
For you.
And it's a wrong choice economically. For me, exactly. It's the wrong choice economically, and frankly, I think that it's not particularly moral either.
Senator John Cornyn tweeted, for tax-raising advocates like Warren Buffett, I'm sure Treasury would accept a voluntary payment for deficit reduction. Garrett, are you going to be sending your money in, or
no? What I'm doing is I'm getting up at 5 in the morning to talk to folks like you. The U.S. government is not a charity. Taxes are the price we pay for democracy, and I think it's well worth paying for. But we have a conversation, we need to have a conversation in this country about real shared sacrifice. When we had 2 wars running under the Bush administration, the president said, I'm going to cut your taxes and you ought to go shopping. Well, that isn't shared sacrifice.
All right.
And it isn't actually economically what we need either.
Garrett,
what we need to do is invest in the middle class, and we need to invest in economic growth. And the only way to make that happen, in part, is to increase the taxes on the upper 1%.
All right, Garrett Gruener, thank you so much. And we'll point out that this president also cut taxes, extended those tax cuts for the very rich as well. So now it's 2 presidencies that own those. Garrett Gruener, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Thanks.
Thank you.